Hey guys, thought we'd go over the patch notes since a good majority of the weapons got nerfed, or there was a few buffs, so I'm just going to explain them in case you didn't understand what some of them meant, and I'm just going to go through all of them. Alright, so Gauntlet Neutral Air, decreased stun. This gets rid of the 3-piece on gauntlets. They used to have Delight and Air, and then Recovery or Dare. It is no longer a true combo for the last hit. The side air decreased force. It used to spike really hard at like a really bad angle, and it still spikes pretty well at that angle, but it doesn't send as far now. And then the recovery, basically, you would have like you could do recovery into jump dare or nair, ground pound, whatever, and it's a little harder to pull off those combos now. There's more ways to get away from it. So Gauntlet's got a pretty decent change. This will make it so that they don't build damage as well, and it's a little harder to cheese like an offstage kill with the Sare and probably less damage buildup off recovery as well. Like let's say you read them with I don't know, like sidelight into recovery with their dodge gone, then you could like jump there. It'll be a little harder to do things like that, so I'm actually pretty happy about that change. Alright, so Greatsword. Like I think Greatsword is really bad. I still think it's bad. This change is weird, right? Because they gave sidelight and light consistency. So if you do dash, sidelight, and light on Greatsword, they won't be able to just like jump out of it or run out of it, right? But they did nerf the force on every single ender pretty much, like all the finishers, a good majority of them at least. I don't know. I just think the weapon doesn't have very high damage buildup. Considering it's hard to pull off the enders against people who know how to dodge against it. I still don't think the weapon's very good, but I think this side light and light change is pretty good. I don't know how I feel about changing the force because it does feel pretty cheesy to lose to uh, just getting like killed in orange by the ender, but like it doesn't really have anything else in my opinion. I feel like you can win neutral 3 times over and still lose sometimes with Greysword, so it's just annoying. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna do a whole lot for the weapon. All right, guitars, right? So they changed the neutral light. They increased the stun of the final hit. That should make it consistent, I believe, on Endlight recovery. And I know that 7 dex guitar characters now have Endlight Delight back. So Endlight Delight used to be unjumpable if you had 7 decks. So it is back to being like that. Guitar Sidelight, they decrease the damage and it doesn't go as far. So if you dash Sidelight, it will go way less far than it used to. I think that's a good change. Those 2 things so far I think are good changes. They did a lot to Sarah. It just doesn't hit as hard, like, or well, it doesn't hit like I guess far, and like the threat coverage has changed. And then they made it more punishable, I believe, and they decreased the force, so it won't send as far. The down air got decreased on damage. I don't really know why they would do that. Like I did a decent bit of damage, but like no one's hitting that in neutral anyways, so I don't know. I don't think that needed change, but whatever. So guitars got hit pretty hard. I don't know if it was too hard or not. I'm gonna have to test them, but it was a pretty decent nerf. I'm actually happy about that. Like so far, I'm pretty happy with the changes. Like not Gray Sword, right? Like I don't think it needed to even get nerfed. And if they did nerf the force, I think they should have upped the damage a little bit. But I'm happy with the guitar changes and the gauntlet changes. So we're going on to Spear. Spear got a side air change. They decreased the recovery time on miss, meaning it's less punishable. I don't think it needed this, honestly. I think it was fine where it was at, but all the sword or all the spear players complain about their weapon, so I don't know. I don't think it needed that, but it just makes it less punishable. You could probably jump out of it now if it whiffs, things like that. Sword. This is like huge, right? You used to be unpunishable with everything on sword. You could just throw down air out and then jump down air again, throw an air out, drift all the way to the other side of the map, jump there, jump recovery, whatever, you know. So now, neutral air has more recovery time. They decrease the acceleration, meaning the drift, I believe, so you can't drift as far. The down air has less force and less stun, and they increase the recovery time. So basically, down air at higher health, since they decrease the force. I haven't tested this yet, but I'm assuming this is what this is going to do. So the force is decreased. So at like higher health, you might still be able to combo with it. Like so, if you do D-Light Dare and red health, it used to send to the top of the map. Maybe it won't send to the top of the map now. Maybe you'll be able to combo off of things like on Dare more now at higher health. But it's also super punishable now compared to what it was. It's still not like bad, like it's just how it should have been, right? And then they nerfed exhausted sword recovery. I don't really know why. It's just 1 damage nerf. It doesn't really do anything. Um, Unarmed. Okay, so they just changed it's a nerf, so they made it take longer to hit the unlight by 1 frame. It's like not that big of a deal, I don't think. It might have actually that might change side light unlight. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's just a unarmed nerf. We're gonna go over the characters now. All right, so Hattori side sig. It currently doesn't get you stuck in it when you hit it. You used to hit the sig and then be stuck there for like a good second before you could move. It really doesn't do that anymore because they increased the stun and decreased the recovery time on the sig, so it's not like that anymore. Koji bow desig definitely needed this nerf. It covered way too much, and it was like really quick. So now it covers less area and it takes longer to start up. It definitely needed that. I think they should have nerfed Koji bow and sig as well. I think that is just as broken as the D-sig was. So I think that needs a nerf as well. Core. I didn't see this change. Core, neutral, hammer, increase minimum charge time. Okay, so they made it less punishable on whiff. They made it take longer to start up though. I guess that's a good change, but there's not a lot of cores, so you don't really see the SIGs, so I'd have to check it and test it out. Mako. Mako down SIG on Greatsword. Decreased force, increased time to hit, increased minimum charge time. I think that's a lot of nerfs that didn't really, like, Mako, I feel like was already not going to be good because I don't think Greatsword's good. Guitars just got hit pretty hard, and now they're nerfing the SIGs too. I just don't think it's a good change, in my opinion. I don't see anyone playing Mako. Like, there's no reason to. Mordax, down gauntlets, increased recovery time on miss. That SIG definitely did need nerfed. I don't know if that's the nerf I would have went with. I think it shouldn't spike from literally the middle of the map. You grab them from the middle of the map, and it throws them all the way off stage anyways. And then you get an easy confirm because you have guitars, or not guitars, gauntlets. It's just like, I am glad they nerfed it, but I don't know if that's what they should have done. I don't know. Onyx. Increased total recovery time on miss, slightly decreased horizontal direct coverage. Alright, so it covers less and it is more punishable. Side sig on cannon. Increased total recovery time on miss, slightly decreased. Okay, so it's the same thing for that. I think this is a good change. I think Onyx SIGs were ridiculous. They were hard to punish, and they come out really fast and kill really early, so for them to cover so much is just dumb. I don't know if this was enough of a nerf. I'll have to test it, but those 2 SIGs were ridiculous. Petra, neutral SIG on gauntlets. They just made it more punishable. That makes sense. Rayman, okay, thank God. He's got a lot of nerfs. Side SIG on axe, increased recovery time. I don't know if that's enough. It felt like it had negative recovery frames before. Obviously, I haven't tested the patch at all, but I think this is a good change to add recovery frames to it. It was unpunishable before. Increased charge time, increased recovery frames, increased recovery frames for the on-hit and grounded version, and decreased force and up to the damage. Yeah, that's a good change. This definitely needed it. So that was just like you could kill someone in yellow and rob them with it, right? It was unpunishable. It came out really quick. It killed super early. It's a good change right there. Neutral SIG on gauntlets got an increased damage, increased force. That's fine. That SIG's like was never used. Side SIG on gauntlets, increased damage, increased force. I think those are fine. As long as they nerfed the other 2, I am okay with these. Alright, Sentinel. Sentinel down SIG on guitars, decreased damage, change force. Sentinel neutral SIG on hammer, increased recovery time. Yeah, I think these are good changes. And SIG on hammer was unpunishable, and down SIG did like 28 damage, like a ridiculous amount, right? Sentinel down SIG on hammer has less recovery frames now. It's less punishable. It's still pretty punishable. Like 26 frames, I'm pretty sure is a lot. I'm surprised they didn't touch the Qatar N-Sig. I'm not complaining because I might pull out the Sentinel, but I think Qatar N-Sig is kind of crazy. That was the one other SIG that might have needed a nerf. Taros! Freaking Anonymous Alex getting Taros nerfed, dude. This doesn't even make sense. He beat Koji with Taros, and he gets nerfed. Taros, neutral, hammer, sig, increased charge time, increased damage. Okay, they increased the damage, only changed it by 1 frame. I think that's probably to stop the combo. Downlight and sig, I'm assuming. Side sig on hammer, reduced threat coverage towards the rear of the attack. Man, why are they nerfing Taros? Taros down axe. Increased recovery time from 24 to 26. I don't think I needed that. It was pretty punishable before, I think, right? I never struggled to punish him when someone missed that. Whatever, though. I don't know. I don't think Taros needed nerfed. I thought he was, like, you can't really miss with him. And neutral, like, if you miss, you get punished guaranteed. But then there was weapons like guitars and sword and gauntlets and bow, and, like, everything's unpunishable. And then you miss with Taros, and it's like, oh, okay, I just get punished. So, I don't know. I didn't think he needed a nerf. Thatch, neutral blasters. Okay, so they're just making it so downlight into neutral sig on Thatch blasters doesn't work anymore. Val, neutral sig on sword. Increased recovery time on miss. Decreased overall coverage. Okay, yeah, that's a good change. I'll have to test it and see how it hits now. But that's good, making it more punishable and making it not hit as much. Let's see, neutral sig now has less overall threat coverage to allow for more reliable opportunities to contest or punish this. Yeah, that's good. Volkov side sig. It definitely needed this nerf. I don't even know what it is yet. Decreased stun on the final hit for both versions. Decreased force for the active input version. Active input version, that shit drops. Why are they nerfing that? Huh. Algrim. Rocket Lance now has less recovery time for... Okay, so his side sig just has less recovery time for the ground. Yeah, I think side sig on scythe definitely needed nerfed. I don't know if I would have decreased the force on the active input one. Probably would have been on the one that you sent forward, right? Like, that spiked hard, I think. Alright, that's all it changes. I'm kind of unhappy that orb and bow and axe didn't get touched, but everything else did. Like, this doesn't even make sense to me. Like, they nerf sword, they nerf guitars, they nerf gauntlets. I don't even know why they nerf greatsword. They nerfed those 3 weapons, but axe and bow and orb all still exist, not even changed. I think these changes were pretty good, but they just, like, it's like half the patch in my opinion. Like, where's the other half? Where's the other weapons that needed nerfed, you know? But I mean, if they release another patch nerfing those weapons, that'd be, like, perfect. Because I think that's a really good change.